Thank you. Mr. Reader, following up on the last man standing rule, as Mr. Norquist indicated, no sane person would join a plan, and so the plans can't grow. If others would come in, you might be able to get through this, but with no new companies coming in, it's just going to get worse. What proposals are out there that would I guess, immunize or encourage people to come into programs that are presently underfunded?
Well, most plans are underfunded, and I do believe that there's a lot of underfunded plans that are growing. There are green status plans that are growing. But as Congressman Norquist pointed out, a critical and declining plan is not going to grow. The only thing that'll grow the critical and declining plan is a promise to the employer that they're not going to have to be subject to the consequences of the insolvency of that plan. And that doesn't help the plan any, because it doesn't contribute towards the insolvency of preventing the insolvency.
Well, it injects
rock in a hard place.
It injects money coming in. If you had more people, more companies joining the plan, you'd have more premium money and more money coming into the pension fund.
Well, employers are making contributions to the plan. That's not a problem. The only way somebody's going to make a contribution to a plan is if they're accruing benefits commensurate with those contributions. And so I'll stick by my point that if it's critical and declining, the only thing I see is an infusion of cash.
According to your testimony, there wasn't much of a problem with the multi-plans until about 2012, 2014, and about 2012, 2013, then all of a sudden everything went south. Were there signals that we missed at that time that we could have done something to prevent a total collapse? The single employer plans, according to the graph, seem to be recovering from the '08 financial crisis, but the multi-plans seem to have collapsed. Is there something we missed along the way?
Well, the 2008 collapse happened right after the 2006 improvements in the funding rules, and that there were small improvements to the multi-rules, but they weren't commensurate to what, they weren't the same as the improvements to the single employer plan rules. And so the single employer plans were better equipped to weather that storm, and they came out looking better. As far as earlier signs, I think we began to see signs right after 2000, but they didn't become that apparent. The dot-com crisis and bubble and the in 9/11.
Well, you've got virtually zero unfunded liability through 2010, 2011, and then all of a sudden in 14 you see a big loss, and then it just drops off the scale.
That's right. So the signals were not bright and clear, but they were there.
You mentioned in your testimony that some funds found themselves, because of investment returns, overfunded, and the reaction, rather than kind of bank the money, was to increase the promises, which made it more likely that they'd go insolvent. Do you have recommendations on allowing overfunding up to certain levels and prohibiting increasing promises until you can really afford them?
Yes, there's the problem that Mr. Norquist referred to about the tax cap on contributions. I think it was you, and that was part of the problem, and that was fixed in 2006. And I don't think it's a problem today. If it is, we need to know about it, because there's very, very few plans that are at that level. But I also think that the plans that weathered the storm and the effect of that problem were ones that, when they did increase benefits, they increased them with benefits that can be restricted later in bad times. And there's lots of plans that have done that. They've increased benefits, and then when hard times come, they've restricted future accruals, and they're doing fine today.